Hello and welcome to ZTN News Blitz. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Owen Kaura. A quick look at the headlines. Experts urge caution as they recommend mandatory quarantine for travelers from hotspots. ZIMSEC markers clash over payment. Poachers attack investigator, burn him alive. And in sport, Chevron's focus on Bangladesh. Now, Zimbabwe's parliament has suggested mandatory quarantine for travelers coming from COVID-19 hotspots. Chairperson of the Health and Childcare Parliamentary Portfolio Committee, Dr. Ruth Labode, told ZTN that while COVID-19 infections appear to be under control in Zimbabwe, the country remains at risk of a surge in cases due to travelers coming from hotspot countries. Labode's concerns come in the wake of a frightening COVID-19 emergency in India, where an average of 4,000 deaths are being recorded daily. Neighboring South Africa has detected 4 cases of the variant of COVID-19 from India, which scientists suggest is more deadly. Dr. Labode spoke to ZTN's Mirai Nsingo.
The only thing that can be added is Zimbabwe should not allow its citizens currently unless they are vaccinated. But even if you are vaccinated, it's better you don't go to India. But so far we are safe. But it's the decision taken by UK to say if you are coming from Zimbabwe, for example, now, you must quarantine for 14 days. Now, PCR. Maybe we have to use those strategies from specific countries.
A president of the Zimbabwe Medical Association, Dr. Francis Chirowa, concurred with Dr. Labode and urged caution.
We're certainly not immune from the variants that are affecting other countries of the virus, like India, South Africa, and elsewhere. And in addition to that, we are not so sure whether the vaccines that are available are also effective against this variant. Minimize the contact of people from those areas in a hotspot like India. One would recommend that to actually ban people coming from that country. If at all they have to come, or maybe they could be our own nationals coming back, then they should be quarantined and for sufficient time, usually 2 weeks, and be tested, make sure they don't have the variant or virus to bring to them and infect other people. So that's very important. If you had to travel from UK and you want to go back, I know that for sure, you'll be quarantined for 14 days at your own expense.
Now, it's been more than 3 weeks since the Zimbabwe School Examination Council announced results of the November 2020 advanced level examinations, and a week since ordinary level results were released. But teachers who marked the examinations are yet to be paid their dues by the Examination Council, and they are not happy. The Zimbabwe Teachers Association Secretary General Goodwill Taderera told ZTN that ZIMSEC should not engage teachers to mark examinations if they cannot pay them.
We've always said the ZIMSEC must engage teachers when they have the money to pay them. It is bad labor practice to engage somebody and anticipate money and then they don't pay them. So in future, we suggested that if they don't have the money, they should not then engage the teachers for marking until they have the money. Because right now we are also inundated with lots of calls to assist them to mediate between them and the ZIMSEC, which is not necessary.
Now, ZIMSEC spokesperson Nikki Dlamini acknowledged that they owe the markers, but said the delays have been caused by the COVID-19 pandemic.
As ZIMSEC, yes, our O and A level examiners have not been paid for the scripts rates, which is the payment for the scripts that they marked. As we are speaking, there are payments that are being processed so as to rectify the situation. We do know that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, that there was issues with the cash flow as well as other consequences that caused this delay. It is prudent to note that this is the first time in many years that this delay has happened. And it is unfortunate, and we are rectifying it.
Now, moving on, an international anti-poaching foundation investigator is battling for life at a hospital in Harare after a gang of suspected poachers attempted to burn him alive in his car near Machiloni area along the Masvingo Bridge Highway. The suspects attacked the 28-year-old anti-poaching investigator and sprinkled his vehicle with petrol and set it on fire while he was inside. The Zimbabwe National Parks and Wildlife Management Authority spokesperson Tinashe Farao confirmed the incident to our Beitbridge correspondent Tupeyo Muleya.
We can confirm that there was an unfortunate incident where suspected poachers attacked an International Anti-Poaching Foundation investigator in Beitbridge. These guys, they sprinkled his vehicle with petrol and they set it on fire. He was taken to Beitbridge for treatment and airlifted to Harare for further treatment. This is very sad. These are the things that we've always been saying, that our law enforcement agencies, when it comes to poaching, they're always at risk of encountering such incidences. We've had a lot of armed contacts with these suspects, and we are calling upon anyone with information to assist us so that these people can be apprehended.
Now, owners of buildings in Harare whose properties do not have adequate fire protection facilities may be forced to close. Harare City Council is inspecting buildings and vending spaces to check for safety measures in the event of a fire. Council spokesperson Michael Chideme told ZTN that businesses found wanting will be either forced to close or fined. Chideme spoke to ZTN's Monashia Mkahlera.
On the arrangement, say in a shop, how the goods are arranged, be it clothes, be it groceries, and we check whether the arrangement allows for movement in the event of a fire. We also check on the exit and entry points to see whether they are functional in the event of a fire. We also find them. If we find out that the arrangement of the goods within the shop or within the office does not allow for exit in the event of a disaster, we also fine. But the idea is not to fine. The idea is to have adherence to the city bylaws.
Law of the United States dollar has led many children, especially girls, to drop out of school and get married or look for employment in Zimbabwe's Mashonaland Central Province. Most of the girls in the province are married off to older men. Some of the girls find themselves in polygamous marriages, leading to a spike in sexually transmitted infections, including HIV. The province is a hub of illegal mining activities, which authorities say are fueling lawlessness and uncouth behavior. Mashonaland Central National AIDS Council Provincial Manager Edgar Muzulu says many initiatives have been undertaken to reduce the spread of STIs and HIV, adding that results are slowly becoming visible. According to latest statistics, the province has an 81% knowledge of HIV among adults, while knowledge levels among youths are at 38.8%.
Then tikazoona futi panyaya dzepresident mukanakana muministry of health munoona fomu ravo ronzi T5 rinorekodha madzimai auya kuzosununguka ndii mukarianalyza munoona makore kuti ma13 ma14 12 aidza vakarayitwa kana kuti vakatoita nhungu yacho kuti akarodzwa kana kuti akaita sex work.
Meanwhile, the National AIDS Council has embarked on a program to teach vulnerable girls to make reusable sanitary pads. This is after some of the girls resorted to using newspapers, old rags, tree leaves and cow dung to manage their monthly menstrual flow. We spoke to some of the beneficiaries in Urushinga, Mashonaland Central Province.
Project yemapads iri kutibatsira kuti seisusu tine vabereki vasingakwanisa kuafodha mari yekuti titenge mapads. Inotibatsira kuti tikwanise kubatsirika sevana vasikana, so that hatingazoenda kana kuti out kana kuti tonyengedzwa nevamwe vanhu kuti uya panapa ndikupe mari yemapads.
Kuti kana tapedza kumashandisa akatibatsira nditi kuti asiyana neyaya yatinotenga kuti unoshandisa 1 papeki apo ninge $1 iri unoti ukangosona kana ako ari 3 pakuti wati 9 months akugorera kutopera.
Project iyi takaitanga kupera kwegore rakapera ratabva 2020. Project iyi iri kutibatsira zvisingabviri sesu vamwe vasikana tasingakwanise kuafoda kutengerwa mapads, saka takatoona kuti mai makiwa vakatibatsira zvisingabviri kozi taiti takaenda kuchikoro teni takapfeka machira ayayo dzimwe dzenguva aibva adonha kana muklasi.
Teresa Kua, a child care worker who is assisting the girls in the program, speaks.
Vana vazhinji vatinotora tinoshandisa inonzi risk assessment tool kuti ndimuchuzi ndinenge ndatoshandisa iyo ndaona kuti ari vulnerable zvakanyanyisa.
Moving on to business, exporters and investors in Zimbabwe have been awarded incentives to encourage growth. Zimbabwe's Finance Minister Professor Mthuli Ncube announced the incentives in a statement yesterday. The incentives include an 80% incremental retention level of foreign currency for all exporters, up from 60%. For exporters licensed under the special economic zones and those listed on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange, their retention level has been pegged at 100%. Gold buyers who deliver above their monthly average shall also be entitled to a retention level of 80% on gold deliveries to fidelity printers and refiners. But is this a good news for exporters and investors? We cross over to ZTN business correspondent Andy Hodges. Good afternoon, Andy.
Thank you, Owen. Look, there's a lot of incentives that the Minister of Finance yesterday actually announced. However, I'm going to pick on three. The first one, of course, is the encouragement of gold production and gold deliveries to fidelity printers and refiners. The Minister announced that gold producers who deliver gold quantities above their average monthly delivery shall be entitled to retention level of 80% on the incremental portion of the gold delivered to FBR. And those companies listed on the Victoria Stock Exchange, they've been given, in fact, 100% retention level of the incremental exports. This is good news for gold producers. Now, why the VFX? Well, what they're saying is that companies that have incremental amounts of gold can actually re-export that themselves with guidance from fidelity printers and refiners and be able to use those gold stocks to either loan money or get gold loans that they can then utilize to improve their capital in Zimbabwe and even their expansion plans. The other issue, of course, that the minister touched on was corporate tax. Now, this is important. He stated that taxable income from a manufacturing company which exports 51% or more of its output is now taxed at the rate of 15%. And that's good news, of course, for those companies' exports. As you notice, the minister is really focusing on companies and boosting exports and boosting export production. The third issue I'd like to touch on, Owen, is that companies licensed under the special economic zones. Now, the licenses will be granted in terms of the Zimbabwe Investment Development Agency Act, following the repeal of the Special Economic Zones Act. The ZEDA Act is administrated by the Zimbabwe Investment Development Agency, to whom an application for Special Economic Zone status must now be made. As I said, Owen, these are positive moves by the Minister of Finance of Zimbabwe. The idea here is to boost exports, boost our export competitiveness, particularly with African Continental Free Trade Area coming along just around the corner. Back to you.
Thanks very much, Andy. More reasons to export indeed. And now on to crime. A man from Harare's Mbare suburb has been arrested after allegedly stealing from Deputy Chief Magistrate Bianca Makwande in a smash and grab incident last month. Oliver Rimai allegedly stole the chief magistrate's handbag containing money, fuel coupons, as well as identity documents and personal effects. It is alleged that on April 16, Deputy Chief Magistrate Makwande was driving along Tongogara Avenue and slowed down as she reached the intersection of Semnyoma and Tongogara Avenue to give way. That is when Rimai allegedly smashed the front passenger's window using an unknown object and took a handbag. Rimai was not asked to plead when he appeared before Harare Magistrate Barbara Mateko. And a United States-based Zimbabwean hip-hop artist Dre's says he is grateful for the love he is receiving following the release of his single, Born to Win. Born Dumimaraire Jr., Dre's said the song, which is laced with the Shona lyrics, pays homage to his Zimbabwean roots. The single from his forthcoming album features vocalist King Zashe and Kenyan trumpet player Owo Arunga. In the song, Dre's talks about his experiences in the United States, including being ridiculed for his accent and his hair texture. He spoke to ZTN's Itai Mutiniri.
Don't die, the real hitters gon' shine and my people gon' lie.
You know, feeling like everything just sounds the same and feels the same. Everybody's doing trap music and trap drums and that's dope. But at the same time, I had to ask myself, what does it look like to give somebody in the world a genuine experience that felt like me? You know what I mean? Like, I grew up in these two different worlds. I'm in a Zimbabwean home, but living in America, then living in Zimbabwe, then back in America. We would listen to anything. We're listening to hip hop, but at the same time, we're listening to Mafumo and Wonder Boys, and just, there's all this different music going in my home. So I wanted to give people an experience that felt like me, something that felt very traditional, very Shona, very Zimbabwean, but at the same time, it still has those hip hop elements. And from that, this whole sound of what I call ancestral art was birthed, and so Born to Win is a part of that.
My hitters don't die, and real hitters gon' shine, and my people gon' rise, 'cause we're born to win.
And that story taking us to regional and international news, where up north, 19 people, including President Edgar Lungu, have so far paid their nomination fees to stand as presidential candidates in Zambia's August 12th general election. The Electoral Commission of Zambia said the 19 people managed to submit their bank details, confirming their payments as of Sunday, May 9, the deadline for the payment. And the World Health Organization has classified the coronavirus variant first found in India last year as a variant of global concern. It said preliminary studies show that the B1617 mutation spreads more easily than other variants and requires further study. The variant has already spread to more than 30 countries. Meanwhile, doctors in India have warned against resorting to cow dung as a way of preventing coronavirus, saying that there is no scientific evidence to prove its effectiveness and that it risks spreading other diseases. Some people in the country visit cow shelters once a week to cover their bodies with dung and urine, thinking that it enhances immunity or contributes to the recovery from the virus. And that takes us to sport. Now, with the Pakistan series over and done with, Zimbabwe is now preparing for Bangladesh. The Asians are set to visit for a full series between June and July. The series set for Queen's Sports Club in Bulawayo also contains Super League matches. However, before the arrival of Bangladesh, the Zimbabwe A team will host South Africa's emerging side this month. Chevron's coach Lal Chandra Rajput sees this as an opportunity for fringe players to raise their hands.
Very, very important, because we can throw these guys and see whether they are ready for the big league. Build a player, you got to give him opportunities, and I'm sure the more he plays, better he becomes. And for him as well, the A tour will be very, very important. Bangladesh, I think we are playing the Super League, so that's very crucial for us, because that's the qualifiers for the 23 World Cup. So we are aiming that as well. But the long-term goal is just to qualify for the 2023 World Cup.
And former Zimbabwe netball Gems coach Ledwin Dondo has been laid to rest. Dondo, who was described as a mentor and icon, was buried at the Glen Forest Cemetery today. The Zimbabwe Netball Association President Letitia Chipandu paid a heartfelt tribute to the late Dondo.
I want to say we've lost a veteran in netball, Ledwin Dondo. I remember her in so many different walks of life. She was a mentor to a lot of the girls. We have people coming from as far as Mutare here today at this funeral just to see her off. It takes someone of substance to gain this kind of respect. Respect is not demanded. It is earned because of what you do. My Dondo was a teacher. She taught informally, but she was teaching life skills to the girls, because apart from just being netball players, there were skills that she taught them. I want to thank God for the love example that she showed to the girls that are in netball. She is gone, but not forgotten.
Now, Gems coach Lloyd Makunde said she was a motherly figure who led with love.
It's very sad that we have lost my Dondo. She was actually an icon in Zimbabwe netball fraternity. She was not just a coach. She was not just an administrator, but she was like a mother to everyone, all of us. She would never choose who is there or who is not. She was a motherly figure.
Dondo was a former Zimbabwe Netball Association president, national coach, and was the GEMS manager at the Netball World Cup in Liverpool. She guided Zimbabwe to their first ever African netball title in Botswana in 2015. May her soul rest in peace. And on that said note, we've come to the end of Tuesday's edition of News Blitz, but you can still connect with us on our social media platforms: Twitter at ZTN News, Facebook Zimpapers TV Network, Instagram at ZTN. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, ZTN. And of course, you can also visit our website, ztn.co.zw. Thank you very much for watching.